Okay, hi everyone. Here's yet another video of me going through a homework. So solve the following quadratic equations by factorizing. So that implies all of these factorize. Now the first one shouldn't be too bad as long as you don't make a slip up. We need two numbers that add to give -2 and times to give -15. They are of course -5 and +3. Always just check them after you've done that. -5 add 3 would give you -2. -5 times 3 would give you -15. By the way, just in case you're not aware why that trick works, it's because when you multiply it out, look at what you do with these two numbers. You get the x squared, sure, but then you get that term, and they add to give -2. But you do that term times that term, and so they times to give -15. That's why the trick works. When you look at it forwards like that, you can see why the trick works. Anyway, at the end, don't forget we're solving it. And whenever you've got a times b equals 0 in maths, and that's exactly what we've got here. That's your a, that's your b. Well, either a is 0 or b is 0. And if x -5 is 0, then x is 5. And if x plus 3 is 0, then x is -3. So I like people to understand as well why we changed the sign there. It's because we're trying to make the whole bracket 0. Okay, these are a bit tougher. Now, there are systematic approaches. The craftiest method I've ever seen for these kind of questions, and I must admit I do like this method now, is they're more awkward, there's no doubt about it. I was always a guesser when I was younger as well, and if you asked me to do it, I'd probably do it in the guessing kind of approach. But the other approach, if you want to factorize this, forget the equal 0 for a second. Do 3 times 4 is 12 first. Do first times last. And now find two numbers that add to give -13 times to give 12. They are, of course, -12 and -1. And then what you can do is, if you really want to cheat, and this isn't great for understanding, whatever that number is, just write it down twice and then put one leaves in one bracket, one leaves in the other, but then cancel down. And what I mean by that is this all divisible by 3? Yes, it is. So you can write it as x -4, 3x -1. And then, as I always encourage my classes to do, scribble that line out because it was a fiction. It just helped you work out the answer. But that is that one factorized. That's the quickest way I've found anyway. And it was a student who showed me it, of factorizing these more difficult quadratics. So we get 3x -1, x -4 equals 0. And either this is 0, in which case x is a third, or that is 0, in which case x equals 4. Same for this one. 6 times 18 is at 60 plus 48, so that's going to be 108. And now we need two numbers that add to give 31 and times to give 108. Well, what's kind of useful here is if you've got a prime factor decomposition of 108. So it's like 54, and then that's going to be, well, like 3 cubed times 2, isn't it? Because it's 27, 3 times 3 times 3. Now, looking at this, my first thoughts are, if I'm going to try and make out of these factors a sum to 31, how about 27 plus 4? 27 times 4 is 108. There we go. I can kind of see it now just from looking at the factor branches. So sure enough, the answers are 27 and 4 for the two numbers that add to give that and times to give that. And now what I can do, like I say, my cheeky way of doing it, not developed by me, it was a student who showed me this, plus 27 plus 4, and then cancel down. Well, both of these are divisible by 3. Both of these are divisible by 2. Scribble that out because that was false. That was a lie, a big lie. And then does that work? Plus 27x plus 4x. Yeah, that's good. That's working out. So x is -9/2, or x is -2/3. Done. Yeah, it's the crafty way of factorizing those awkward ones. I quite like it. Okay, we've got to use quadratic formula this time. Okay, I really don't like using the quadratic formula. It's just a bit tedious, but they're making us do it. So minus b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4 times 1 times -8 all over 2 times 1. And so that's actually going to be equal to -3 plus or minus, and we're going to get 9 plus, because -4 times -8 is plus 32. So 9 plus 32 is root 41 over 2. Similarly for this one, they've written it like the other way around just to try and confuse you. So let's just put it in that kind of shape. And we're going to get x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times 5 times minus 2. Now, 4 times 5 times minus 2 with a minus before it, it's going to become positive. So that's going to become plus 40. Have we got 41 again? Wow. All over 10 this time. So that's going to be that's going to be 1 plus or minus root 41 over 10. And then lastly, look, they've tried to trip us up by writing it in a different order. We've got minus 3x squared plus 12x plus 5 equals 0. And so x equals minus b, which is, sorry, I've just realized that over here, it's 2. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. That's cool. So minus b, which is minus 12, plus or minus the root of b squared, 144. We're going to be adding a gain here, because we're going to have minus 4 times minus 3, which is 12, times by 5, which is 60, over 2a, which is minus 6. You can cancel that down a little bit, and make that 2. Well, yeah, let's actually make this minus 12, well, positive 12 if you like, plus or minus, minus or plus if you like. I've changed the sign there, I've changed the sign there, and that's going to be root 204. I don't know if they wanted to cancel it down. They didn't mention anything about it, so I think I'll leave my answer like that. Okay, calculate a discriminant and hence state the number of real roots. Well, a discriminant is the b squared minus 4ac in the quadratic formula, and it tells you how many roots, because the way you get two solutions is when this is greater than 0, you have plus root 41 or minus root 41. That's two solutions. But if this equals 0, you'd only have one solution, because add or subtract 0 gives you the same value. And if it was less than 0, you'd have no solutions because you're square rooting a negative. Now, b squared minus 4ac here is 49 minus 4 times minus 2 times minus 3. And that's the same as 49. Now, that's going to be 4 times 3, which is 12, times 2 is 24. And it's going to be a minus. And that equals 25, which is greater than 0, hence 2 real roots. If it's greater than 0, you have 2 real roots. Okay, right, what about the next one? The quadratic equation 2x squared plus p plus 1x plus 8 equals 0 has equal roots. Well, that's where b squared minus 4ac equals 0. We can call this equal roots or a repeated root, or what other words are there for when the root appears twice? The classic ones are repeated root or equal roots. So let's do this. P plus 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times 8. And if it's got equal roots, it equals 0. So p plus 1 squared equals, well, 2 times 8 times 4 is 64. And so p plus 1 is 8 or minus 8. No, it says values, plural. And that's because when we square root, we get two answers, and therefore we're going to get 7 or minus 9. Done. Okay, solve by completing the square. Interesting. Let's do it. Okay, complete the square. I like completing the square. X minus 2 squared minus 4 minus 1 equals 0. So halve the middle term, put it in brackets squared, and then always take away that squared. We can rearrange that then to x minus 2 squared is 5. And therefore, if we do this in 2 goes, square root, then add the 2 over, you're going to get 2 plus or minus root 5. Done. That's why completed square form's really nice. It helps you actually find the roots. Here, I'm going to do x plus a half squared minus a quarter. So once again, I halved that 1 to give it a half. And then I took away this square, which is a quarter, and I've got minus 3 on the end. Now, that's minus 13 over 4. Add it onto the other side. You can see that x plus a half squared equals 13 over 4. Because 3 is 12 over 4. And so you've got minus 1 over 4, minus 12 over 4, which is minus 13 over 4. Add it over. You've got y written down here. And so x equals minus a half plus or minus. Now, you can actually square root the 4. So we'll write just the root over the 13. And we'll put minus 1 plus or minus root 13 over 2. Here on this one, divide everything by 3 first, makes it a lot easier. 18, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so now we just complete the square. X plus 5 squared minus 25 plus 18, which is, of course, minus 7. So when I add it over, I'm going to get x plus 5 squared equals 7. And so x equals minus 5 plus or minus root 7. Cool. Hope that was okay. Number 5. Write this in completed square form. So x minus 5 over 2 squared. It's easy if you use fractions here, not decimals. Minus 25 over 4 plus 9. Now just simplify it. You've got x minus 5 over 2 squared minus 25 over 4 plus 36 over 4, because 9 is 36 over 4, and minus 25 plus 36 is 11, I think. So it's going to be plus 11 over 4. And we've written it in that form where a and b are rational values. In other words, there might be fractions. Hence, state the minimum value. Well, a minimum value, and this is the other thing which is nice about completed square form, it occurs where we're trying to minimize. Think of it like this. We're trying to minimize y. We're trying to make y as small as possible. And this answer is strictly 0 or bigger. And then we're adding 11 over 4. Well, if I'm trying to make y as small as possible, I'm minimizing y, I want to make this as small as possible. And the smallest it can be is 0, at which point y is 11 over 4. And if I want this all to be 0, x is going to be 5 over 2. That's why I don't change the sign on x. Sorry, I do change the sign here, but I don't change the sign there. Hope that makes sense. Sketch graph. So we know that the lowest point on this quadratic occurs at 5 over 2 on the x and 11 over 4 on the y. So it looks something like that. Quick sketch. Number 6, we're getting there. Minus 5x squared minus 20x minus 12. They want it in complete square form. This looks awkward, but let's do it. I'd probably start by dividing everything by minus 5. Now that bit and that bit's okay, but minus 12 divided by minus 5 would be 12 over 5, which would be 2.4. I'm going to write it as 12 over 5. And then just check at the end. That times that gives me that. That times that gives me that. That times by that gives me the minus 12. So now it's the same as before. You just halve the middle term, square it, take away that last bit, and then we've got the plus 12 fifths. So that's going to be the same as, I should be writing equals, x plus 2 squared. Now that's like minus 20 over 5, plus 12 over 5, which is minus 8 over 5. And so if you then just times by minus 5, you get minus 5 x plus 2 squared plus 8. Okay, and they said a, b, and c would be integers. So a is minus 5, b is 2, c is 8. Hence, state the minimum value. Well, if x is minus 2, will be minimized here. Oh, maximum. It should be maximum. I was going to say it's an upside down quadratic shape. It should be a maximum value. But still, nonetheless, that occurs when x is minus 2, because then all of this would be 0 and y would be 8. And that's definitely the biggest y can be, because this is always, after you square and times it by minus 1, that's always going to be 0 or negative. And therefore, it's going to be maximized where this is 0. And so you just change the sign on that one and keep that one the same. Okay, last one. This one is a modeling question, not the most popular kind of question for students. Okay, diver launches herself off a springboard. The height of the diver in meters above a pool, t seconds after launch, is modeled by this equation. How high is the springboard above the water? Well, at t equals 0, they're on the springboard. So if I just find h of 0, I've got 0 minus 0 plus 10. And so 10 meters above the water. Quite high. Use the model to find the time at which the diver hits the water. Well, the water, remember h represents the height above the water. Yeah, the height of the diver in meters above the pool, So the pool is where the height is 0. And so we've actually got to solve this. Now let's take it all onto the other side. 10t squared minus 5t minus 10 equals 0. Divide it all by 5. You're going to get 2t squared minus t minus 2 equals 0. Factorize it, because I think it does factorize. I haven't got the answers with me this time, so apologies if I make a mistake. I think it's going to go around minus 1. Oh, sorry, minus 2 and plus 1. Hang on. Maybe it doesn't factorize. Let's just have a good look. B squared minus 4. See, the easiest way to check if it factorizes actually is to work out the discriminant. If it's square, then it factorizes. B squared is 1 minus 4 times 2 times minus 2. Yeah, that's an ugly number. So it doesn't factorize. So you do need to use a calculator here then. I'm just going to use my calculator very quickly. I prefer to use a calculator anyway when I can't solve the quadratic. You can use the quad formula, but I think I'll use my calculator. 2 minus 1 minus 2. Okay, I'm getting 1 plus root 17 over 4, which is 1.28 seconds. So by calc, t equals 1.28 seconds. Okay, rearrange h of t in the form a minus b times t minus c squared to give the values of a, b, and c. So, okay, sure, let's do that. So h of t is the same as minus 10 times t squared, and then you're going to get plus a half t, because that times that will give me minus 5t, positive. Oh, hang on, no, I think it should be a minus t squared minus a half t, because that times that gives me positive 5t, and then plus minus 1 equals 0. Oh, yeah, cool. Doesn't equal 0. And now I'm going to complete the square. So I take the minus 10 out first, then I complete the square as normal. T minus a quarter squared. Apologies for my ugly writing there. Try again on that. T minus a quarter squared. That will give you t squared minus a half t, but it also gives you minus a 16th. Oh, and I need that round here for a moment. And then we've got a minus 1 on the end. Okay, now to simplify that, think of that as minus 17 over 16, and then we're going to times the minus 10 in. So you're going to get minus 10 times t minus a quarter squared. Bit of a fiddle, this one. Yeah, that's definitely giving you minus 17 over 16. Times by minus 10 will become plus 170 over 16. So there we go. A equals minus 10. Or sorry, A equals 170 over 16. B equals 10, because it's written the other way around. And C equals a quarter. Use your answer to part C or otherwise. Find the maximum height of the diver above the water. Well, it occurs when t is a quarter. And at that point, the height will simply be, plug t equals a quarter in here, you get this being 0. And so it's 170 over 16. And in meters, that is, let's quickly do it on my calc, 10.625 meters. So not that much higher than where he started, really. He's jumped about half a meter. It's probably quite realistic, though, isn't it? You jump about half a meter up in the air and then go down. Okay, so I hope that homework wasn't too tricky. I hope I didn't make many mistakes either. But yeah, thanks for listening. And yeah, pop back if you're stuck on another homework. Keep up the hard work.